You know, we have the Cracker folk mostly to thank for settling all these rural areas. A lot of these remote towns and communities, including Scrambletown and even Jacksonville when it was called Cow Ford, and Ocala and places like that. They were all formed by crackers who were typically pushing their way into a freer existence. They valued their independent, restraint-free lifestyle over any sort of material prosperity. They were a very independent people, and in fact, stubbornly independent, as many people would explain and describe them as. But because of that, they pushed into areas that no one back then, at least, in the 1800s, early 1900s, had any interest whatsoever in occupying. So the way of the cracker back in the 1800s and the early 1900s was a remote existence. They relied on the environment for those things that they needed to exist to survive. And that includes the houses here. You'll see the whole beam timbers and the cross beams and the hand-hewn rough-cut timber. It's all split and handmade. It's a perfect example of something a cracker would put together back in the 1800s and the early 1900s. Their food was taken from the environment. Very rarely did they have the money to buy store-bought food, as it was called. When they did, it was usually sugar or coffee. They grew most of their food. They hunted it. They fished for it. Very much like the Native Americans when they occupied different regions of Florida. They occupied different geographic, environmental areas and adapted to those particular areas. So you had fisher folk like the Native Americans along the coast. There were cracker fishermen that lived in the Tampa area or in the Cape Canaveral area. And even those that lived down in the Keys, the crackers down in the Keys are called conchs. You had the Central Highland crackers that lived in the Ocala, Gainesville area. And there were farmer crackers and there were cattle ranching crackers. And they adapted to all these different environments and ways of existence, different lifestyles.